Musicality.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? How are we doing out there in the world? I am the only Fitz Monkey. Hope you guys are doing well and staying healthy. Welcome back to the Legit Shoot Podcast. Yerp. I know that was a little bit messy at the beginning there, but hopefully you guys can hear me. If you guys can, say what's up in the chat. For those of you guys that are watching on YouTube, what's up? For those of you guys who are watching on Twitch, what's up? It's been a while. It's been a while, man, but it feels good to be here. Just had to take a nice little gulp of the water as we get started here. But welcome back to the Legit Shoot Podcast, everybody. I am FitzPunkTV, AKG133. It's been a while since we have done a Monday Night Raw review, but tonight felt like the perfect night to make a return, to make a cameo here on YouTube. I'm not going to sit here and promise you guys that I'm back fully every single week. You know, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I love podcasting. I love doing this, but you know, I am very busy nowadays with my own personal career outside of YouTube and things of that nature. That's part of the reason why you guys don't see me as much anymore on YouTube, especially when it comes to wrestling content. I know a lot of you guys just see my anime content and things of that nature, but I am still a huge wrestling fan. I watch Raw every single week. I watch SmackDown every single week. You know, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys know I live tweet every single week. I just haven't been as active here on YouTube. That could change now that we're in the new year. I don't want to make false promises to you guys, but tonight I am here tonight, right? You know, and I think that's better than nothing. So I want to welcome you guys back here to the Legit Shoot Podcast. I almost feel kind of like Netflix tonight, right? I kind of feel like what Raw was on Netflix tonight. You know, I'm almost introducing you guys back to who I am. You guys remember back in for those of you guys who are long-term subscribers, basically from 2017 through 2022, 2021, those 4 or 5 years, every single week for 52 weeks a year, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-view reviews during the dog days of WWE, the bad days of WWE, the Vince McMahon era of WWE, when the product was at its absolute worst. They were making money, but we all knew how unlikable the product was. To the point where I was literally ranting and losing my mind on this podcast every single week for years. You know, part of me kind of thinks one of the reasons why I don't do podcasts as much anymore is because, WWE has gotten so much better now that we're in the Triple H era over the last 2 years that, you guys don't want to see me come on here and just, be happy all the time and talk about how good the product is. I think you guys would be more entertained if I ranted about AEW every single week because I can't stand AEW's product. But, I don't care that much about AEW's product anyway. So it's like a double-edged sword here. I'm going to zoom the camera in on me just a little bit. Just give me a second here. Focus that bad boy a little bit. There we go. You guys can look at my beautiful, handsome face a little bit more. Um, but yeah, part of that is just um, I'm aging a little bit. I'm still very young. I'm not old, but I just have some different priorities these days. So I'm not podcasting as much anymore. I definitely want to get back somewhat to what we did in the past for my long term subscribers, and also connect with you new subscribers out there. Um, it's just I have I'm just very busy with my own career and other things like that. But enough about that. I want to talk about Raw on Netflix, right? The debut tonight, what was marketed and promoted as the biggest Monday Night Raw of all time, took place tonight and didn't live up to expectations in Los Angeles, in the Intuit Dome. How was it? And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't lie. I've never lied on this podcast. You know, my opinion of Monday Night Raw tonight, it was okay. It wasn't a bad show at all, but it wasn't the banger that I think a lot of people um, thought we were gonna get originally with this show, right? You know, we had all these superstars announced. We had all of these awesome matches that we were looking forward to, especially, of course, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Solo Sikoa, to determine the actual tribal chief. Um, John Cena's the start of his farewell tour, the return of The Rock, right? How would that impact Cody Rhodes, Roman, and Solo Sikoa, right? Would this finally start the road to WrestleMania for The Rock? Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship, right? Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso, and a whole bunch of legends like Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, and so many more announced for the show. And of course, this being Raw on Netflix with limited ads, even though there was a good amount of ads on the show, even though this show kind of flew by. It was 3 hours, but it didn't felt like a long drawn out 3 hours. But definitely the commercials, at least today, felt more like a normal show. I don't expect that, of course, every single week for Raw, but um, at least from a commercial standpoint, it felt kind of like a normal Monday Night Raw episode on the USA Network, or like SmackDown or something like that. But the show itself, it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't a amazing show, right? I think a lot of us kind of got the example I would use. If you guys remember when Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I know I'm crossing into a completely different industry, but for those of you guys who might be big Marvel fans, MCU fans, if you guys remember when Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was coming out, what was it, 3-4 years ago, right? And we saw all these rumored cameos of like Tom Cruise being as Iron Man, and all these other things. And then when the movie actually came out, we got cameos, but it wasn't anywhere close to the degree that was advertised. We're kind of disappointed. But, looking back at it, when you look at Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness now, in my opinion, it's a really good movie when you take out the expectation of all the cameos that were rumored, right? And having this crazy multiversal Avengers type movie for Doctor Strange. That was kind of what Raw was tonight. Even with all of the legends and all the star power that were on the show, this was one of the most star-packed shows we've had in WWE history. You have eras colliding. So, superstars from the Attitude Era, the Hulk Hogan era, the Ruthless Aggression era, with the current WWE era, right? I forget what we're calling this era, the Record era. It's something like that, or I just like to call it the Triple H era. Um, you have all these superstars from different generations clashing, right? And yes, this show had plenty of star power, and the matches were pretty good, but you didn't get that Triple H level storytelling that we have been accustomed to over the last 2 years. You didn't really get a follow up to a bunch of the stories that we have been invested in with WWE over these last couple months and entering into the new year, right? A lot of people thought this would be like the unofficial start of the road to WrestleMania. Like we usually get um at the Royal Rumble, right? I think a lot of people thought the start of the road to WrestleMania would actually start tonight, but it didn't. It didn't. Yes, you got the end of some feuds, right? The end of the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan feud, the end of the Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa feud, and what could be the end of the CM Punk Seth Rollins feud. We'll see. And now all these superstars will go on to new things as we enter Rumble and WrestleMania season. But you didn't really get that cinematic storytelling that we've loved so much of the Triple H era. It felt more like we're putting all these stars on the show, and then we're giving you some bigger matches and the end to some rivalries, but not anything big that you're coming out of the show like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to watch. Yes, of course, we're gonna be watching SmackDown this week. We'll be watching Raw again next week as well. But you didn't get things that were just like absolutely mind blowing, like, oh my gosh, I have to come back again next week, right? There wasn't a big cliffhanger or anything like, oh my gosh, this is, I have to, I'll be talking about this all week. It felt like to me more like, hey, this is opening day for WWE, right? The opening day of a new era, because everything now is a new era, right? In WWE, right? Or just in general, right? AEW saying this is a new era now that they're on HBO Max and whatever, but this is really a new era for WWE, with them being on Netflix, right? And the biggest thing, and they talked about it all day, Triple H and Pat McAfee and Michael Cole doing media, talk about how a lot of this show was going to be, catering to a new audience. The people that had never watched WWE before. Because now WWE Raw is being live broadcast around the world. It's not on cable TV anymore. It's on Netflix, which is on all over the world. Hundreds and millions of people have Netflix. So now all these new people are watching Monday Night Raw for the first time. They may be casuals. They may not know anything about the product. They're not diehards like myself and some of my friends who've been watching WWE for years or our entire lives, right? They have to introduce these characters. They have to introduce CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Why are they fighting? Why is this not just a random match? Why is this the main event of the show? Who is Roman Reigns? Why are all these guys throwing their fingers to the sky and acknowledging him, right? Who is Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan? Why are these fans cheering so hard for her? Things like that. Why is people waving their arms like they're at the beach when Jey Uso makes his entrance? They had to introduce all these characters and these stories and give you a reason to care. Because going forward for Raw being on Netflix for years and years to come, these are the guys, a lot of these superstars are going to be the faces of Netflix. These are people you're going to be watching every single week for years to come. So they have to introduce it to you. This was like the pilot episode. We're going to show you what WWE is all about, right? And we're also going to introduce you to these characters and give you reasons to care. And we're also going to tease you with a bunch of other characters that didn't perform on the show tonight. That's why they spent, so much of the show cutting to superstars that were sitting at ringside, introducing you to all of the different WWE champions and their belts, right? From Gunther to LA Knight to Shinsuke Nakamura to Tiffany Stratton, who didn't have matches on the show, but they're characters that you're going to see on Netflix and on SmackDown going forward, and why you should give a shit about them, right? And another big thing was, of course, and I know this because I'm not going to get too much into my personal life, but I work in the sports industry. I work in sports and entertainment. Netflix and the corporate sponsors, all those logos that you see on the new black ring mat, right? Those people are paying millions, hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars to, have their logos on WWE ring mat to sponsor WWE and, the mission that WWE carries out by providing sports entertainment to fans across the globe. Right? And of course, Netflix, which is paying millions and billions of dollars for the years to come to have Raw broadcast exclusively on Netflix. They had to spend time thanking the head people at Netflix who made this happen. Even if like I don't care about the Netflix executives, I'll never meet them. But at the end of the day, it's important for them to spend that time thanking those people because these are the people that they are in business with for years to come, and they got to make those relationships stay as strong as possible. It's business 101. At the end of the day, as a fan, you don't care about that, but that's just the way business is. That's how business occurs. You know, so yes, they like. Was I as a fan? Did I like them spending every single break, spending 5 minutes, teasing all of these celebrities and showing these Netflix personalities that are advertising their shows and Squid Game season 2 and whatever? No, not really. But I understand why, they did it. Because at the end of the day, this is a business. They're not going to just give you 3.5 hours of the straight. This is not a PLE. They're not going to give you just 3.5 hours of the straight wrestling and straight, WWE content. You had so many people tweeting about this show that never watched or never been to a WWE event before. You had so many people there that don't even really know what WWE is. I saw so many celebrities tweeting like, who's this Roman Reigns guys? Why is everyone putting their hands to the sky, right? Why are they beating each other with tables and ladders and chairs in the tribal combat match? What's the difference between a tribal combat match and, I don't know, what was in their match? Or the match between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Why could they use weapons in the Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa match, but they couldn't use weapons in CM Punk and Seth Rollins' match, right? Things like that. And they're going to have to do that here and there going forward as their audience grows so that these WWE, these new fans can understand the WWE product. And definitely, since WWE is now on Netflix, I definitely think, they will put some type of content to help WWE fans kind of understand the product a little bit better. Maybe they'll do like an introduction to WWE series, right, to make it easier to explain the different match types and the different types of superstars and all of this other stuff. Why is the Royal Rumble important? Why is WrestleMania the biggest WWE event they put on every year? What does Money in the Bank mean? What's the difference between a Hell in a Cell match and a Falls Count Anywhere match? I definitely think WWE is going to put something like that on Netflix going forward to help these new fans understand the product a little bit more. You're already seeing them. They're putting out different superstar profiles. They introduce who Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch and Cody Rhodes are, right? So you can better understand these characters. WWE is just like any other show you guys have watched, from Family Guy to The Walking Dead to The Simpsons, right? To The Office. They have to give you a reason to be invested in these characters and to continue watching every single week to see what these characters are going to do next. That was the whole point of WWE's Raw on Netflix debut. Yes, they wanted to put a good show for us diehard fans, but their biggest goal at the end of the day was to introduce the WWE product to the millions and millions of people that are subscribed to Netflix, that with hopes that they will stay subscribed to Netflix and watch this, for years and years to come, along with all the other programming that Netflix does. That was the whole point of tonight. It was an okay show. It wasn't the crazy cinematic storytelling that we usually get from WWE, but that's okay. That's fine. You're not going to get that every single week. Some weeks are going to be a little more boring. Some weeks are going to be a little more in-ring focus. Some weeks are going to be a little more promo focus. I saw, for example, on Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco's the night shift podcast, right? Whoever was on the podcast or whoever was on the Twitter account was saying, why are they spending so much time on promos? There's going to be weeks where it's more promo focused because they're focused on building up the rivalries and the stories with certain superstars. There's going to be some weeks where it's just a lot of matches. There's going to be some weeks where it's going to be a balance in between. That's what the WWE product is. You're going to get a different focus every single week. And that's what it's all about. It's sports entertainment at the end of the day. So even as a diehard, was this a crazy show? Was this the best Monday Night Raw ever? No, it wasn't. It was an okay show, that was more focused on introducing the the newbies to WWE, right? The new people who've never watched the product before, right? And then of course showcasing some of the star power that WWE has. And then moving forward, I definitely think now next week, right, we'll start more of a focus on, the road to the Royal Rumble, which is the official start of the road to WrestleMania. And they also announced the next Saturday night main event will be for January 25th, which I believe is, what is that? That's about 2.5 weeks from now. The Rumble is 3 weeks from now. Um, when's the Rumble? I think the Rumble, if I'm right, is on. When is the Rumble actually? I think it's about 3.5. Let me check. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure. It's February 1st. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, we have 3.5 weeks till the actual Rumble, and then we have 2.5 weeks till Saturday Night Main Event, which I believe is going to be in. I think they said San Antonio, if I'm right. Um, So now that the big debut, the Netflix debut is complete, now the next couple of weeks we'll get back to the WWE storytelling that we love so much, right? And building these new stories, building these rivalries to watch as we go into the Royal Rumble, right? And which will lead, of course, to them starting the build towards WrestleMania. And what's crazy now is WWE has so much product that they're advertising. Like if you watch, they advertised, WWE 2K25, which looks like Roman Reigns will be on the cover of, right? Which they announced tonight. They're advertising Saturday Night Main Event, which is a big TV event on was NBC in 2.5 weeks. They're advertising the Royal Rumble, which is one of their biggest events of the year. Which will start the road to WrestleMania. They're already advertising the Elimination Chamber, which I think will be taking place in Toronto at March, right in the smack of the middle of the road to WrestleMania. And they're advertising NXT. There's so much that WWE is doing right now, man. And I can be honest, it can be a little bit of a little overwhelming because there's so much to look forward to and there's so much that they're promoting. The WWE's trade, it's not like the NBA or the NFL where you get a breather. It keeps going. It's 52 weeks a year. There's no off season for WWE. As soon as even though WrestleMania is their biggest event, the event happens. It's on to what's next. You know what I mean? So. And I think new viewers to WWE are gonna understand that there's no off season. The next week the story continues. The story doesn't end. The story just enters a new chapter when a rivalry ends for whatever superstar you're following. So that's my overarching thoughts on WWE's Netflix debut tonight. Like I said, it wasn't a banger show. It was an all right show for what was advertised. I think a lot of people just went in with these insane expectations, and that's why I think some people were disappointed. I wasn't disappointed. I was just more like, this is all right. Somebody said something in the chat. What was it? I can't see what you said. Hold up. 1 sec. Why can't I see the chat? Oh, hold up. My bad. Yes, Steven said Triple H's new era in WWE. Correct. Good to see you, Steven. Um, but we're gonna talk about what happened on this show. I think we'll be able to actually get through this stuff pretty quickly. Um, but like there was so much that were advertised for this show tonight, right? And there's many different ways to attack this. Of course, the show started off with the cold open. First off, I would say there was no buffering issues with Netflix tonight. No issues like they had really with the Mike Tyson and the Logan Paul or the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight from the last month. But and of course, like I said, as always, if you guys have any questions in the chat, I am looking at the chat, so let me know what you guys thought of the show. But there's no real big buffering issues with Netflix tonight, which was great to see. Nothing, I think in terms of the commercials, like I said, I think as time goes on, since they're not on cable TV anymore, right? Raw can be flexible with its live events. It could be 3 hours if needed. It could be 3.5 hours. It could be even 4 hours if needed. It could be less than 3 hours if possible. So I think definitely we'll see WWE experiment with the show times depending on what they're promoting. Like I said, every week's gonna be a little bit different. Some weeks will be more wrestling focused with more matches. Some weeks I could see them focusing more on promos and storytelling to push the stories that they want to tell. Now that they're on a streaming platform, right? They're not handcuffed by cable regulations when they have to end at 11 on the dot. So that's gonna be something interesting to see how they navigate that as time goes by on Netflix. So I would say the stage setup was great. And like I said, Into a Door is amazing. I look forward to the day, God willing, when I get to go to LA and experience the Into a Door myself. But just seeing they went with a simpler stage design. But I really do like the entranceway, the tunnel. It looked much more similar to what's up, Chris? Good to see you. It looked kind of similar to what AEW had when they did All In. They had that nice little tunnel that's leading into the arena that the superstars walked out from, and of course, Into a Dome. They have, of course, they have the huge LED boards that are circling, the top of the arena where they can put graphics, they can advertise stuff, right? They can do almost whatever they want. And of course, they have like the different lasers that WWE stars were looking that are not that the fans were using as well to really make the arena pop out, right? They also had like a curtain surrounding the ring. And of course, they had a new black ring mat that had all the new sponsors, or like Prime and Netflix, an example. And like I said, those companies are paying a lot of money to have their logos highlighted in the middle of the ring where you're looking at it for 3 hours every Monday, right? And I like the new black rings. Um, so you have this nice little curtain that's surrounding the ring, and basically on there as the show begins, they're showing the cold open with Triple H basically narrating almost kind of the history of Monday Night Raw, of it, everything from way back in the day all the way through the Attitude Era, the Hulk Hogan era, then the Ruthless Aggression era, the Cena era, all that into the modern day, right? Chris says, "I believe John Cena is winning this." We'll talk about John Cena here in a little bit. I have some really good thoughts on it. I'm super excited that he's back. But we'll talk about Cena here in a little bit and what I think WWE is gonna do with him. But with it, they had the curtain and they're showcasing all the history of Monday Night Raw. And they had this awesome artist that was literally painting like all the big WWE superstars, right? And it ends with this amazing artistic piece with so many superstars from Raw's history on it. And they have even AEW superstars that were once in WWE, from Sasha Banks to Chris Jericho to Edge and Christian, all on there as well. Because even though they're in AEW now, they are, WWE still acknowledges them as part of WWE's history, and I'm glad that Triple H, doesn't have that Vince McMahon mindset. Oh, just because they're in WWE, we're not gonna show them. We're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like that petty bullshit. I love all like no, these guys are all part of WWE's history, right? Unless they're like Chris Benoit and they had some big scandal, and went to jail or some stuff. Um, they're part of WWE's history, and we're gonna showcase them, right? We're not gonna mock the fans' intelligence by trying to, erase them from WWE history. So, um, so they have it everything go down, and then they have the curtain drop at the end, and it's Triple H standing in the middle of the ring. MAC, he welcomes everybody to Monday Night Raw. He welcomes everybody to Raw on Netflix, and he says, "Welcome to a new era." And he does his normal, "Are you ready?" And of course, like they do some great pyro in the ring. Like for a second, I was scared. I thought Triple H was gonna get blown up because he was standing very, very close to where the pyro went off. A couple steps forward, he could have got hidden by some pyro, but it looks like he was okay, nothing to worry about. And then the show begins. The Rock comes out, right? And we all know The Rock was advertised for the show. He announced it a couple days ago that he was going to be on this show. We expect him to be on this show, right? He came out to an amazing pop. They brought back like the 8K, 4K cameras, which looked absolutely awesome. He came out with the what was it? The Muhammad Ali Championship, the People's Championship that was given to him at the WWE Hall of Fame, and he came out as Babyface Rock. Even though he had the Hollywood Rock Final Boss music, he came out as a babyface. Even though he was wearing the Final Boss outfit, he was full blown babyface Rock. Interacting with the fans, which was very interesting. You could also tell he didn't shave. I don't know if he's just not shaving for like another movie part or whatever. But he came out. Yeah, I think his mother, I believe, and of course, I think his daughters were ringside. He's high fiving Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, right? Like I said, I found this very, very, very interesting. He does his normal. Finally, The Rock has come back to Los Angeles. He also thinks like the Netflix executives and talks about this being a new era, right? And he talked about how far things have come since he was a kid, right? And how back then when he was a kid, when his dad was wrestling, you could only watch Raw on Saturdays, Saturday mornings on cable. Now it's come such a long way where anybody in the world can watch it here on Netflix, right? And it felt a lot like corporate Rock. A lot of us were hoping and expected the Rock to because of course The Rock is not confirmed for WrestleMania, but we all know if The Rock it does become available for WrestleMania, there's really two avenues. It would be mainly either him versus Cody Rhodes, right, which was teased, has been heavily teased now for over a year since WrestleMania ended last year, or Roman versus Rock, the dream match people have wanted now for well over a decade, right? And but he didn't tease any of that. He thanked Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes was standing. We know Cody Rhodes was advertised for this show, but Cody Rhodes was standing at the barricade in the crowd, right? And he thanked Cody Rhodes for being the quarterback and the face of WWE over the last year, and for carrying the company on his back. And Cody Rhodes is there, thanking The Rock. It was like the last year had not happened. It was like those two never had beef. Rock said, I bled with Cody Rhodes and I would bleed with him again. But it was like water under the bridge, like, that whatever beef they had been squashed. It felt very odd. And part of me was thinking, oh, is this like just for tonight? Was Rock more just in like corporate Rock mode and not in the Final Boss character mode? He just wanted to be there, since he's on the TKO board and everything, just for the Netflix executives, or was he there? Are they just completely just kind of scrapping things and going back to babyface Rock? Like I said, The Rock is not confirmed for WrestleMania. Which is like the fact that WWE's hinging so much of the WrestleMania card and like the WrestleMania main event on The Rock's availability is insane. Yes, The Rock is a star, we know that, but you should be going. You should honestly be going. Assuming that The Rock is not going to be there at WrestleMania, instead of waiting for like a month before WrestleMania, where you have to change everything up, right? In case The Rock does become available. Um, But either way, you know, The Rock's out here thanking Cody Rhodes. He's also, then shouting out Roman Reigns, right? And then, of course, how because our first match of the night was going to be Roman versus Sokoa for the Tribal Combat match. Um, and it was just odd. It wasn't bad or anything. It was just odd. It was like, The Rock had let bygones be bygones. So I don't know what WWE's aim, and hopefully maybe in the the coming days this week we'll get some more, maybe some from the dirt sheets, on like what was the deal with all that, right? Oh, is Rock just gonna go back to being babyface Rock, which is whatever? 'Cause I think at the end of the day, fans love The Rock. We all know this. It was more fans really wanting Cody Rhodes to be, get the finish the story last year, and fans, especially this era of social media fans, we're not gonna. They just didn't care. They weren't gonna let Rock come in and take Cody's moment, right? Cody is the face of this era, you know. Um, and I think we all love Cody for the most part. Instead of like I think except for some Roman Reigns fans that still want Roman to be champion, but we all love Cody. And he has done an amazing job as the face of the company over the last 2 years, and he's gonna keep doing that for hopefully years and years to come. Um, so after that, after The Rock finished his promo, he said he would have an eye on the Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa match, right? Then he exited the ring and he hugs Cody Rhodes. And there was also some more backstage stuff coming that backstage footage of them behind the curtain gorilla of The Rock and Cody Rhodes hugging, and I think they took like a shot together, right? And Cody's thinking, The Rock like that's the nicest stuff you've ever said about me. I was like, what? And that's I was like, I, I was like, are we completely scrapping like what they initially had with The Rock and Cody? You know, I don't know. So maybe that's them telling us that we're not doing The Rock and Cody at Mania anymore. We're just gonna move, and that's fine. That's fine. You know, because we'll talk about what Cody could be doing. I think we're most likely going the Cody versus Cena direction, at least as of right now. But like I said, it was just odd how it came off. And maybe they're gonna save Rock and Roman for down the line for maybe another event later this year, or maybe they'll wait till next year. Maybe the plan is to do the Rock and Punk Mania this year, and then they'll save Rock and Roman for next year. I don't know, but like I said, it was just odd. It was just very, very odd. Not bad, just odd. Um, One thing I also got to make sure I do after we're done, I have to go back and watch the post show on YouTube because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I'm just seeing it now. Some of the stuff.
And the way you are right now, this match clearly took a toll on you. What can you say about it? What it took to win this battle tonight? 46 is just a number. And so's number one, and that's exactly what I am, and that's exactly what I have been saying since I got here in 2005. Yeah, maybe I took a 10-year vacation, but I'm back and I'm better than ever. Ain't nobody touching me. BITW, best in the world. That's what it means. Straight edge means I'm better than you. I'm coming for all the gold in 25. Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania. Netflix. Biggest thing I've ever done in my entire life. This match is for Chad Gilbert. This match is for Chris Bay. And this match is for me. And anybody who ever said that I was, look at me now.
Oh my gosh, what a promo! It's really um it's really funny to see how all these people are reacting to Monday Night Raw, especially the celebrities that have never been introduced to the WWE product before. Man, and I love it. I love it. All right, anyway, but yeah, we are talking about The Rock. I mean, I'm also scrolling through social media at the same time, trying to see if I missed anything else from the press conference. But that would lead us into the first match of the night. Um, we had Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, right? The Tribal Combat match. And whoever, well, of course, the winner would be the undisputed Tribal Chief. And like I said, a lot of Roman's matches now. You know, of course, we know how great Roman Reigns is as a wrestler. He's had so many big time matches, especially during his record breaking, 1300 WWE Championship reign that he had for 3.5 years. But especially in recent years, right? A lot of his work is more about cinematic storytelling, right? And that's what this was. This, especially the end, a lot of his matches now become really overbooked, especially because they involve, of course, the OG bloodline, the new bloodline, things like that. But a lot of what Roman does now is really just his matches just turned into legit these overbooked uh crazy ass spots where everyone interferes at the end, and I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't expect it to become this overbooked in this match. Roman was wearing some amazing Kobe 8 Elites. He wasn't wearing like his normal black and red boots. He was wearing these Kobe 8 Elites, right? And of course, a lot of tonight, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee spent introducing these characters to the audience. Of course, someone like us and me, we know who these characters are and we know these stories. But for a lot of the new viewers out there, they're introducing like why Roman and Solo are fighting over a necklace, why the Ulafanga is so important to their families, including The Rock, right? So the match itself was fine. It was, a lot of chair shots, a lot of announce table spots. It wasn't like anything wild. But near the end here, Solo went for a spike on Roman. Roman kicked out. And then the referee gets taken out of the match because of Tamaloga, because Roman hit a spear on Solo. So Tamalogo came out, attacked Roman. Then of course Jacob Fatu attacked Roman. The Solo I think hit two spikes on Roman. Uh, and then another ref came out, but Roman still kicked out. Then then Jay Uso, no sorry, Jimmy Uso and Sami Zayn came out. And then they ran uh Tama and Jacob Fatu away by hitting their finishers. But then, right when it looked like Roman was going to get the win, Kevin Owens came out. And of course, we know how much Kevin Owens can't stand Roman, which is the main reason why, of course, why he turned heel and turned on Cody Rhodes. Is now his character has become this delusional guy. He had a stunner on Roman. And then Solo went for another pin. Roman kicked out again. Then KO kept attacking Roman, but then Cody Rhodes came out to a huge pop, and he ran KO out of the arena after hitting him with the Cody Cutter. So then after that, Roman finally was able to hit two spears on Roman, got the 1, 2, 3. Roman is once again the undisputed tribal chief. Paul Heyman was about to um give the Ulafanga to Roman, but then The Rock comes out and then the crowd's like, oh my gosh, is this like the moment? Is The Rock gonna turn on Roman? Is this gonna set up The Rock and Roman dream match? But no, Rock presents Roman with the Ulafanga. He acknowledges Roman, hugs him, and it stands as Roman puts up the one, and all of the Intuit Dorm acknowledges Roman Reigns as the undisputed tribal chief. I thought the whole time, especially when when The Rock backed up and he wasn't in the shot, I thought The Rock for sure was going to attack Roman from behind, hit him with the rock bottom, and that was going to set up the match. It did not happen. I was in shock. And like I said, now we're all thinking, like, has WWE the scrap planned for the final boss character? Is the final boss done? Is The Rock just now going to go back to the normal, lovable babyface Rock? Like I said, I don't know. Maybe tonight, like I said, was just for, of course, just to have The Rock there because of his star power. And maybe they're just saving it for down the line. I don't know. What I think could happen maybe at the Royal Rumble, because I expect, of course, we're going to talk about John Cena here in just a second. But John Cena, of course, announced that he will be entering the Royal Rumble, the first official man in the Royal Rumble, right? Of course, everyone else will declare here in the next couple weeks, like WWE always does. I expect Roman to be in the Royal Rumble match. Roman has stated that, of course, once his business with Solo was handled, that he would be coming back for what he lost, and of course that'd be the WWE Championship, which Cody Rhodes holds. I expect to do that. Roman will announce that he's gonna enter the Royal Rumble for the first time in 5 years, right? I think 2019 was the last Rumble that Roman was in, if I remember correctly. So I expect Roman to enter the Rumble, and maybe we see The Rock cost Roman the Royal Rumble in the opposite faction. Remember, back in 2015, all those years ago, The Rock helped Roman win his first Royal Rumble in Philadelphia. How about 10 years later, almost 10 years to the day, The Rock costs Roman the Royal Rumble. That would be crazy. How fast 10 years go by, but how crazy that would be. I don't know if that will happen, but maybe that's where they're saving The Rock turning on Roman. Because it would make sense, of course, Roman being the babyface and The Rock to be the heel if there still are plans to do The Rock and Roman. I don't know. Or maybe The Rock turns on Roman and then they still but they decide not to do the match at Mania. They'll save it for later on in the year or for another time. I don't know. But the decision for The Rock to not turn on Roman tonight, or for him to just look like for him and Cody to make up, right, the squash the beef that they had, was very, very interesting. I don't know if it was just for the fact that they're on Netflix tonight or they're saving it for another time, right? But I don't know. It was just very, very interesting. So is the final boss dead? Like I said, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But we'll just have to, something for us to keep an eye on as time goes on here. Moving on, we had then, of course, like I said, I don't want to spend time talking really about the celebrities that showed up. They did that throughout the entire show, and we've already went over why they did that, right? Clearly, this is L.A., right? L.A. is the land of the stars, so clearly they want to have as many big names from Hollywood as possible there for the big Raw debut. But John Cena came out. Of course, we know this is the start of Cena's farewell tour. Cena will be, a full-timer for most of the year. Yeah, I think he's going to make about 30 to 40 appearances on this farewell tour. Right, hoping, of course, I'm crossing my fingers that he doesn't get, injured, right? If he gets injured and has to miss time, because remember, Cena's taking time off from Hollywood to do the farewell tour, right? So I would bet he already has movie projects set up for 2026 once the farewell tour is officially over. So if he gets injured, I don't know, man. That would absolutely suck. But let's not speak that into existence. But of course, Cena, this is the start of his farewell tour. He came out with some new blue gear, right? Kind of like Dodger blue. I was hoping he would stick with the red though. I love the red attire that he debuted. It gives me such a throwback to 2011 John Cena, right? Die hard WWE fans remember Cena's 2011 red gear. So I would hope that he would stick with it. The blue gear was just for tonight, but they had all new graphics for him and everything. Which was one thing that was cool for WWE. The graphics that they had tonight for Netflix, love it. I love it. It gives like a nice little video game, like NBA WWE 2K type vibe with the graphics. I love it. WWE has truly modernized the product to unreal degrees. They also had these crazy drone shots and angles that you could see flying around the arena. Just absolutely incredible stuff. It feels like you're at like a concert, really. Um, so Cena comes out, right? And of course, he thanks LA. He talks about some of his moments, which is something I expect Cena's going to do at a lot of these spots. He's going to talk about some of his greatest moments in some of these cities and towns since he's had such a storied 25-year career. He's had so many great matches in all of these cities. He talked about how LA was where he got his first title victory. He also talked a little bit about his personal life, like that's where he started off his actual career, his wrestling career. How he worked at a gym right near where the Intuit Dorm was. Um, so he talked about. So I like I said, I don't know what Cena's full schedule is gonna look like what towns he played. I know that he probably has that. Um, but I think what Cena's planning to do mainly is a lot of these cities and towns he's planning on hitting once. You know, so most cities towns he's not gonna hit twice on this farewell tour. Um, Based on what Cena put on his Instagram, he said, "Thank you, Los Angeles, for a great night." I think he said his next stop will be Indy. So I don't know if we'll see Cena again here on the road to the Royal Rumble. The Rumble's still 3.5 weeks away, so it's not like he would be gone for long, but it would be good to see him interact with a couple other people that could be in the Rumble match over the next couple weeks. But like I said, I don't know yet what WWE's full plan is for him. So, um, Cena came out and then he talked about some of the opponents that he could be facing. Um, he mentioned the CM Punk, the Logan Paul, the Gunther, um, things like that. The Cody Rhodes, which the fans cheered a lot for, right? These are of course the people that we want to see Cena face, right? And Cena talked about how, of course, a lot of people want to see him win championship number 17 and finally break the tie that he's had with Ric Flair for the most world title victories ever in pro wrestling history. And the fans cheered, and Cena was on it. He was like, he doesn't believe that it will happen, right? Cena's such a great storyteller. He's like, because his character at this point, he knows when to get serious, but his character is also, he's such a goofball at the same time, you know. Uh, and he talked about how the main reason why he doesn't think that's gonna happen is not because he's washed, but he's grown. Grown to accept that he may not be as good as he was because he mentioned a streak how he's went over 2,000 days without a single victory. His last WWE victory, I believe, if I'm right, was 2018, and it was in a Saudi Arabia match. I think he had with like Triple H. I think it was like at the Greatest Royal Rumble or something like that, or a Crown Jewel, right? Because of course Cena took some time off, of course for during COVID, but he's lost almost every single match he's had because he's been so busy putting people over. No matter if it was Bray Wyatt or Solo Sikoa or Roman Reigns or Austin Theory, it's always been really like one and dones. Cena comes back for a match and then he's gone. He comes back for a match and then he's gone. And he's basically since 2018, the last 6 years, all he's done is put people over when he's been on TV. The only matches he's won were a couple tag team matches he had like last year with like Kevin Owens and like LA Knight. He hasn't won an actual singles match in 6 years, which is insane for somebody that I think we consider, the greatest of all time, right? So I think this is going to be a big part of the John Cena that we see this year. What I mean by that is I think a lot of this year, will be about rebuilding Super Cena. We all know that was Cena's nickname in his prime, Super Cena. Big Match John, Super Cena. He would put on banger after banger with everyone. Edge, Randy Orton, Triple H, CM Punk, Alberto Del Rio, AJ Styles, right? The list goes, The Rock, the list goes on and on and on. Batista, the names just keep coming to my head. But he was also known as Super Cena. Because no matter any odds, no matter who he was going up against, he would never give up. Hustle, loyalty, respect, and he would find a way to win at the end of the day. Yeah, and in recent years, he has cared so much about giving back to the industry. He had so many years on top. He's been so focused on giving back and using his superstardom to give back. Cena can lose 1,000 matches in a row at this point, and nobody would care. People would still recognize him as one of the GOATs, right? That's the that's the thing. What's up, Anthony? What's going on, bro? But that's the thing. I think a lot of this year is going to be focused on rebuilding Super Cena. Building him up, because yes, this is a farewell tour, but of course, it's also WWE also saying thank you to Cena for everything he's done for the company, his unselfishness in these last years, And even though Cena being the kind of guy, Cena's one of the only superstars and one of the only pop culture stars that you see that is actually insanely humble, right? And just wants to give back. I think at this point, Cena just wants to, just enjoy this farewell tour. But WWE's like, no, we want to put you on top in this last year. So Cena talks about how, even though he hasn't won a singles match in 6 years, right, everything could change with just a stroke of luck in the Royal Rumble. And then he, right at the end, he finally turns serious, and he's like, I'm going to say thank you to all my fans. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. I'm going to say thank you to all my fans by winning the Royal Rumble in Indy. And he says, I'll be at the Rumble. I will be cheering for Cena to win. He should win, right? And like I said, if you look at it right now, Cena should be one of the favorites, if not the odds-on favorite to win, right? And I look at it, and I think that, usually when it comes to part-time stars, a lot of us are like, that should not be the case. This is one of the rare cases where I think a lot of us are agreeing that Cena should win, or a part-timer should go over. Heavy. Because the story, like I said, one of the big stories for Cena on this farewell tour will be rebuilding Cena and reminding fans why he's one of the greatest of all time. Through his promo work, through the matches that he's going to have with guys like Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Gunther, Punk, and we can make our predictions on how the timeline will go. But Triple H has stated that Cena will be wrestling a lot this year, right? And I think that will start after the Rumble, right? Because Cena will be at the Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, of course, and then all throughout the year. I expect Cena to be to perform on Saturday night main events here and there, and SummerSlams, and other, Raw and SmackDown, because Cena is a free agent. He can go on any brand he wants, right? And so I think part of, because remember, this is only 1 year. So I think so WWE's only going to have from now to December to get all these matches done. So it's not like WWE is going to be able to have these long, drawn-out 2-3 month rivalries. He's going to be, WWE's going to want to have him face so many people that, that they're going to have to be quick. They're not going to be able to, they're going to have to be like, 2 to 3 week builds to help push these stories along for Cena. So, when we look at the Royal Rumble, like I said, I hope we do get to see Cena on TV in the next couple weeks, right? And it's not like the next time we see him is the Rumble, right? Even though the Rumble's only about 3.5 weeks away. But I hope we get to see him. Like, one of my favorite parts of last year's Royal Rumble build was seeing Cena interact, or not seeing, was seeing Cody Rhodes interact with CM Punk. CM Punk interacting with Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, right? Those segments built up the Royal Rumble so much. So much. I want to see Cena interact with CM Punk because I think those two are right now, at least for the men's Royal Rumble, those two are the odds-on favorites. Who else? Gunther is champion. Cody Rhodes is champion, right? Yeah, I think you could maybe put Randy Orton in there. You never know. I think we should still at least put Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes as in consideration for a match. But I could definitely see maybe most likely maybe it ends up being Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton, right? Because I think that would be the next logical path for KO once because he'll lose to Cody Rhodes in the ladder match, right? Orton's gonna want his revenge, so I could definitely see that possibly be what happens at Mania, Orton versus KO. But outside of that, those are the people I think. Like, I guess maybe you could put Seth Rollins in that boat as well, but really, unless you guys will let me know in the chat, who else would you guys favor? Do you have win the Royal Rumble right now? Right now, it's really a bunch of guys who have won the Rumble match before, outside of CM Punk, of course. And of course, we all know Punk would have won the Rumble in 2014, most likely if he hadn't, or 2015 if he hadn't left WWE. But that's a whole different thing. I think right now the favorites, and Cena, CM Punk, Randy Orton, and Seth. There's really no one else right now. Or I'll put Roman Reigns in there just in case. You never know. Like, I don't think we're gonna get Roman Reigns winning the Rumble, but you never know, just in case. Like, something happens with The Rock, and maybe they want to do The Rock versus Roman versus Cody at Mania or something like that, right? And Anthony, I do agree with you, bro. I do think it's more likely than not right now that The Rock is not going to work WrestleMania. But we should at least keep it in mind. Things with The Rock, of course, can change at the drop of a dime, right? And for right now, it looks like they're moving away from the Final Boss character. But, that's another good thing. What is Punk? I don't know. I even like right now. I've been trying to think of that. I don't know what the favor is. Maybe the favor is CM Punk getting the number 30th. Paul Heyman using his power to get Punk like the number 30 spot in the Rumble. I don't know. I don't. It definitely has something to do with it definitely has something to do with, of course, Punk trying to main event WrestleMania and get a title shot, right? But of course, definitely we'll see what the favor is. Andy says, definitely, of course, the Legit Shoot podcast. For those of you guys who don't know, Anthony was my co-host. For years, we had our own channel. We used to do podcasts on here and on our old channel. I think that channel is still active. I don't look at it much these days, but absolutely, we would love to have you on. Absolutely, that would be fun. Of course, nowadays we don't remember. We used to rant every single week on this podcast. Nowadays, you're not going to get, we're a little bit older now, but there's not much to rant about, unless we want to rant about AEW, which I'm not interested in because I don't really watch AEW, but it's not like we're going to rant. It's not like we're going to rant about WWE. There's not really much to rant about, But yeah. But I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't know what Punk's favor is from Paul. But I definitely think it needs to get brought back up now. Because I would guess now the CM Punk Seth Rollins rivalry should be over. Unless they plan to continue that at the Rumble. And then that goes into the Elimination Chamber. Unless, like, they want to turn Seth heel. Which they, or Seth just has, like, this addiction with CM Punk. Even after losing tonight, that even after their match, he just can't get Punk out of his head. And we'll talk about CM Punk and Seth here in a little bit. I was very surprised that Punk won clean, because I honestly thought Seth was going to win that match. I was surprised Like my initial reaction was I thought our prediction I thought Seth was gonna win and Punk was gonna turn heel. Um, but no, they had Punk win absolutely clean. 'Cause I honestly thought originally when Punk came back, if Punk hadn't injured his triceps at the Rumble, eventually at some point last year, Punk would have turned heel. But at least not right now. And especially going to Mania, I think now Punk's gonna be a babyface. I think it's more likely than not the two big title matches, unless The Rock fucks everything up here. Most likely it's gonna be Cena versus Cody, and then Punk versus Gunther. That would be my prediction right now. Because like it doesn't make sense for me in my eyes that you had Punk win tonight if you're not pushing him to face Gunther at Mania. But that's just my line of thinking. I know a lot of people are gonna say Punk versus Roman, which still could happen, right? But to me, having Punk win tonight in that main event feels like they're heavily pushing Punk, and I think definitely at some point this year Punk will be world champion. I also think Cena will be world champion at some point. I don't know if it's gonna happen at WrestleMania, right? I don't think WWE has any plans to take the WWE title off of Cody anytime soon. But like I said, as of right now, I would say I could see Cena ending up in like a Jey Uso position, like how they gave Jey Uso the IC title for a couple weeks to give that Jey that special moment of finally winning a singles title, right? And then they gave the title right back to Gunther. Was it didn't hurt Jey Uso or anything. It was more just to give Jey that special moment. I think we could be going for something like that with Cena here at some point this year, right? I think it's way more likely that we see something where Punk becomes world champion, Cena becomes world champion. But at some point this year, remember, I think we have all year for all these stories to really happen. But we just gotta take it week by week and see how WWE plays it. But as of right now, I really think it's a lot of it's going to be focused on rebuilding Cena as Super Cena, reminding people why Cena is one of the all-time greats by putting on those banger matches. Cause I still think at his age he can still do it. Let's just look at what Edge is doing in AEW. Cena is definitely still capable of putting on banger matches. Of course, Cena being one of the best promo of all time, and then of course winning matches, just like he did back in the day. I think Cena shouldn't be focused on putting over talent at this point. He's done that. I think this is about rewarding Cena for an amazing 25-year career. And I think it's, this story of him getting over that streak, right? And then, getting the 17 World Championship. I think that's going to be such a fun plot line to, follow, right? When will Cena get that, end that streak? I don't know. I don't know. Because, I don't know when WWE's plan for Cena to have his next singles match. We know Cena's going to be in the Rumble, but when will Cena have that next singles match? Will WWE wait till WrestleMania? I don't think so. I would hope not, But, like I said, we'll see. We have no idea what the plan is, and that's part of what makes this so must-see is, us watching every single week to see what's next for Cena on this, farewell tour, right? So, moving on from that, right? Great stuff here with Cena. I'm just happy to have the GOAT back all year. It's gonna be so sad once we get to the end of the year, but we'll face that bridge when we get there. But moving on, we had Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. This has, of course, been a rivalry that's been going on all year. Tons of history here. Once again, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee had to explain to the viewers why Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley have history. Everything, of course, from them being tag team champions years ago to now, or to eventually, of course, Rhea Ripley being kicked out of the Judgment Day, Liv taking her spot, also Liv taking Dominic Mysterio, Rhea's on-screen boyfriend at the time, and all that, and of course the Women's World Championship. Everything from them injuring each other, right? And of course, some people feel like this rivalry had run its course. I enjoyed the rivalry. I think what Liv Morgan has done, especially in the last year, you could make an argument that Liv was the superstar of the year. I've been a huge Liv Morgan fan. Ask Anthony. I was a big Liv Morgan fan. Way back years ago when she was losing to Becky Lynch back in like early 2020 COVID time. And I was right when Liv Morgan had just become a single star. That was back when they had her in that awful storyline with Rusev and Lana and the Bobby Lashley wedding and all that, right? Liv Morgan has come such a long way, and she has really, really turned herself into one of the biggest stars in the company. Really, she's had a really good women's championship reign that went well over 250 days. She's had some really good matches in the process as well. And she's done some of the best character work she's done in her entire career. I think, part of me didn't know because part of me thought that Liv Morgan deserved to walk into WrestleMania as champion. But, of course, when you have Rhea Ripley is the biggest star in the women's division. And the storyline called for it because Rhea at every single, turn had been screwed by Dominic and Raquel Rodriguez. All the chances Rhea had up to that point to get her Women's World Championship back, she had been screwed. Of course, the story called for the triumphant babyface to get the win, right? And Rhea was just recently turned babyface 6 months ago back at SummerSlam, right? So at some point they had to get Rhea. You wanted to see Rhea get, what was due. Part of me was thinking if Rhea loses, she's gonna get sent to SmackDown, and maybe they set up like Rhea versus Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, which I felt like would have been a banger of a match. I don't think Rhea and Tiffany have never ever faced, but of course, if you had Rhea win tonight, then of course you could do something like Io Sky versus Rhea at Mania, or Bianca Belair versus Rhea at WrestleMania. The door's now open now for numerous different opponents, right? With Liv Morgan, then you got to be a little more creative with what babyface you want to put in that position to face her. But like I said, it always made the most sense for Rhea to regain the championship back, even though I would have complained if Liv had retained. I think Liv has been that great and has really, really turned herself into one of the biggest stars on the roster. Like I said, this match was all right. Basically, Dom and Raquel tried at every turn to, use their advantage to get Liv another win. There was a point where Dominic was distracting the referee, which allowed Raquel to get a chair into the ring. Liv hit the Oblivion on the chair. Rhea kicked out, right? Rhea hit Liv with a riptide that Liv kicked out of. But eventually, after some back and forth, Rhea hit two back-to-back riptides for the win, regaining the Women's World Championship. She got a huge pop from the fans. As she celebrated, as she was exiting the arena, The Undertaker came out. The American Badass, he came out with his motorcycle. And there was some leaked footage earlier today of The Undertaker rehearsing, coming out with the motorcycle. And Rhea Ripley was out there, so this was planned, right? But Rhea and The Undertaker did The Undertaker's classic fist in the air pose, and also the famous look back at the camera and the arena pose. So, like I said, that's a huge moment for Rhea. That's basically WWE endorsing her, saying, "Hey, this is the biggest star in the company right now, the woman star. It's not Becky Lynch, who's of course she's been on." Not really paternity leave, but she's been, of course, taking a break. Charlotte Flair, who is, supposed to be back. I think Charlotte will be back probably at the Rumble. Right. Bayley, of course, Bayley is a star, but I think Rhea has surpassed her in terms of, Stardom, and of course Sasha's not there; she's in AEW. But of course, like I said, as great as Sasha is doing, or Mercedes, sorry, as great as Mercedes is doing in AEW, right? And I'm so happy to see her succeed. I'm still a fan of her. I'm just not a big fan of the AEW product. She just recently won at Wrestle Kingdom in Tokyo. She now has 4 belts right now. Um, I wish Mercedes was still in WWE. This Netflix era is like her stardom should be with WWE right now. And I do think one day she will come back. I definitely think she will come back. I think Triple H will be able to convince her to come back and give her like a Roman Reigns, Becky Lynch type of part-time schedule. And WWE will pay millions for Mercedes to come back because Mercedes moves numbers. Um, but like I was saying, um, Rhea is now the undisputed top woman star in the industry. Her fan she gets Cody Rhodes level pops, right? And clearly them having her out there with the Undertaker proves just that. That endorsement from the Undertaker is all you need to know. You have one of the most iconic WWE superstars of all time out there endorsing Rhea Ripley, right? That's all you need to know. And now we get to have a Rhea Ripley babyface title run, something we haven't seen before, right? At least with this version of Rhea Ripley, we've seen her as a babyface champion in NXT, right? And for a little bit when she first came to Monday Night Raw, but not this level. The mommy version of Rhea Ripley, right? So definitely, I think going forward, now will be interesting. Who will be the ones to challenge Tiffany Stratton and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, right? I think, of course, right now when I think about it, Io Sky definitely becomes one of the favorites to win the Rumble. I definitely think you also need to keep your eyes on maybe Bianca Belair, but I could definitely think maybe, like when Jade Cargill comes back, maybe they set up Jade to turn heel on Bianca, because you could easily they never revealed yet who was the one that attacked Jade, right? So maybe Jade gets jealous that Naomi took um, Bianca's spot in their tag team, right? And that leads to Jade turning on Bianca, and maybe that's the direction they go with a Jade and Bianca feud going in Mania, because that's a dream match for many. Of course, like I said, you got to consider with Charlotte and Becky, which I think they both will be back. So where do they fit on that? So maybe Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton, right? I don't know. I don't see Rhea facing Charlotte or Becky because we've already seen that. We've seen Rhea versus Becky last year at Mania, and we saw Rhea versus Charlotte the year before. We don't need to do that again. But right now, if you had to ask me to pick, I would most likely say Rhea versus Io is the way to go right now. Right now. We'll see if things change. But, like I said, I also think you should keep Rhea and Bianca as an option. But, like I said, we'll see. We got a long way to go. But Rhea is the new women's world champion. In terms of Liv Morgan, like after the match, we saw Dom. Dom tried to, go back to Rhea. It's like Dom only wants to be with whoever's the women's champion. But Rhea, ended that by kicking Dom with in the nuts and hitting him with a riptide. So we'll see what problems that cause Liv and Dominic going forward in the Judgment Day. So we'll see. I think most likely what happens with Liv and Raquel, I think Liv and Raquel will most likely go back after the Women's Tag Team Championships. Of course, maybe you could do like a Liv versus, Tiffany Stratton feud. But, technically Tiffany and Tiffany and Liv are both heels. I know WWE has been teasing a Tiffany Stratton babyface run, and she got Tiffany is very popular and over with the audience. But, like I said, she's not officially a babyface yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. But I think most likely what happened is Liv and Raquel go after the women's tag team champions with Bianca and Naomi right now. So like I said, we'll see where that leads. Um, Chris says we know Charlotte versus Tiffany at Mania, but I'm afraid that Charlotte's gonna win another championship. I don't think so, Chris. I don't think that, like, you're thinking too much of the Vince McMahon era. I don't think WWE built up Tiffany to this extent just to have Charlotte come back and win. Um, do that. The only way I could see, and you guys know I'm not a Charlotte fan. The only way I could see Charlotte winning that championship is if they use it to turn Tiffany into a bigger star. Like, they want Tiffany to go on this journey of chasing the title again. I don't know. Cause I think Charlotte's gonna come back as a heel, and we're gonna see like a new version of the Queen character. But like I said, I could see Charlotte versus Tiffany happening, but I don't right at least right now I don't see Charlotte winning the women's title. But we'll see. But Charlotte versus Tiffany definitely will most likely happen some point this year in the coming months. But then moving on after that, we had Drew McIntyre versus Jay Uso. Jay came out with Travis Scott, who was smoking weed. He came out with the Hardcore Championship. And he was literally smoking weed in the arena, and he had a beer in his hand, which was absolutely hilarious. I don't know how, you know, I know it's Netflix, but I don't even know how that they got that to do. Travis Scott is literally sitting there smoking weed with Jey Uso as Jey Uso does his entrance, right? And like I said, if you are a casual WWE fan or if you're like new to WWE product, you would think that Jey Uso is the most over guy in the company. He's the company's biggest star, right? The way they did the Yeet entrance, the way they had the drone camera flying around the Intuit Dome, like, and you know the way you have Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, the two commentators literally standing on the announce desks, yeeting everywhere. You would think that Jey Uso is the biggest star in the company, and which shows how far Jey Uso has come, right? And going into this, I had Jey Uso winning, not because he needed it. It was more because this was the Raw debut. When you give Jey Uso all these special entrances, and you have 18,000 people yeeting, right? And it's like I said, the debut Netflix episode. You have I don't think it's gonna hurt Drew McIntyre to lose to Jey Uso. The match wasn't anything special, right? It seemed like the match was rushed since they wanted to get to the main event. Like I said, even though they don't have to rush their shows now because of course they're on Netflix, but definitely the match was definitely felt a little faster pace. Like they wanted to get to the point quickly. Um, and the biggest thing here was I believe Jay beat McIntyre with a roll up, and then they quickly went to the next thing. Definitely, of course, I think Drew McIntyre, they'll do a rematch and Drew will get his payback or something. But they wanted to give Jey Uso the victory here for the big debut on Netflix, right? Excuse me. So that was that. Nothing too much really to talk about here. Um, I think this rivalry will continue. We'll see more matches between them. We know Drew's on this quest to get payback on every single member of the Roman Reigns bloodline, which is something to consider. We could see a Roman Reigns Drew McIntyre match here in the coming days. Um, there is a quick video of Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman backstage. Roman celebrating having his Ulafanga once again, and once again being the undisputed OTC, the undisputed tribal chief. And Paul kept asking Roman, like, when will the next time that you will appear, so that we may celebrate, and I may spread your glory. And Roman said January 27th, right, which is 3 weeks from now. So Roman Reigns will be on Raw 3 weeks from now. So I think Reigns will now be a free agent as well. He'll be on SmackDown and Raw, even though he is a part-timer. But I think from there, that will be when Roman announces that he's officially going to be in the Rumble, since the Rumble is that same week on Saturday. And then from there, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get more clarity on what Roman's direction will be going to Mania. Is it The Rock? Is it CM Punk? Is it Cody Rhodes? Is it something else? Right? But from there, we'll see what the plan is for Roman going forward into it. And of course, at the end of this video, or at the end of this, they did tease, of course, WWE 2K25 announcements coming on January 27th as well. Roman, it has been confirmed that Roman is going to be the cover athlete of the game. I can't remember, but I think this is Roman's second time on the cover. I'm trying to remember all the covers. 2K15 was Cena. 2K16 was Seth, I want to say. 2K17 was Brock Lesnar. 2K18 was AJ Styles, I want to say. 2K19, or no, I think 2K19 was AJ Styles. 2K20 was Roman Reigns and Becky Lynch, if I'm right. I can't remember 2K21, to be honest. 2K22 was Cena again. 2K23 last year. I don't know. It's hard. Now this is bothering me. Now I'm actually gonna search it up. I know, of course, we know last year 2K24 was Cody Rhodes. But honestly, I was surprised. I was surprised that Roman. I thought it was gonna be CM Punk was gonna be the cover athlete, this year, but they decided to go with Roman Reigns, which is So let me see. WWE 2K16. Oh, 2K16 was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Who's Skip? Chris, who is Skip? I don't know who that is. 2K17 was Brock, so I was correct. So 2K18 was Seth, right? Yep. 2K19 was AJ Styles. Right? Yep. 2K20 was Roman and Becky. And I'm checking as I do this video. 2K21. We didn't get a 2K21. You said Skip. So yeah, they didn't make it. So you're right. Yeah, because 2K20 was so bad with all the glitches, they decided to take an extra year. Yep, and 2K22 is when we made the return. Yep, and ever since then, the WWE games have been great again. Right? 2K22 was Rey Mysterio. 2K23 was Cena. 2K24 last year was Cody, and then this year's look like it's gonna be Roman. So yeah, there we go. Thank you, Chris. So yeah, that makes sense. We haven't had a bad WWE game since 2K20. 2K22 was great. 23 was great. 24 was great. And I'm excited for 2K25. Let me know if you guys want me to do some WWE 2K24 gameplay here on the channel in the next couple months. Because usually WWE 2K comes out around March. So that's probably when we'll get the next game. Moving on. The next thing we had to talk about, and we won't spend too much time on it, but Hulk Hogan came out. And literally, Hulk Hogan, it was announced that he signed a new Legends deal with WWE. And basically the big thing, a part of this deal is WWE's going to be promoting Hogan's new beer, which I think is called Great American Beer, if I'm correct, right? Let me just check to make sure I have the right name. But literally, my favorite. Trying to make sure I want Hulk Hogan. No, it's the Real American Beer. Yeah, that's what it's called, right? So the main part of this deal is Hogan making appearances so that he can promote his Real American Beer, right? And Hogan got absolutely booed out of the arena. I loved every single part of this. Fuck Hulk Hogan. I'll be honest with you guys. Fuck Hulk Hogan. I hate Hulk Hogan. I can't stand the guy. Every time I see him on WWE TV, I cannot stand him. and we've all heard the reports about Hogan. Like I said, we now live in this social media era, so a lot of the stuff that Hogan got away with, you know, back in the day, now that type of stuff, when it comes out, everybody knows about it. Right? So now that everyone knows about Hulk Hogan, how trash of a human being he is. Oh, just because he's a legend doesn't mean, oh, we're just going to cheer him just because he's Hulk Hogan. No. F that guy. I love what the WWE fans did today. F Hulk Hogan. It's that simple. F him. F him, F him, F him. The guy is a trash, scummy human being. It's that simple. That, of course, I don't think WWE can. Well, I don't know WWE's legal. I don't know if they can just physically release him from this contract. But if Hulk Hogan got booed in LA tonight, if he appears live in any other city, the boos are just gonna be worse. It only is gonna get worse from here for Hulk Hogan. So you could tell it bothered him. He was wearing his sunglasses, but you could tell, that it, like he tried to do his normal his normal stick that nobody cares about. He had Jimmy Stewart next to him waving the flag. He ripped his shirt because he was wearing a Raw as Netflix shirt. Then he was wearing a Real American Beer shirt, right? And the fans just couldn't give a crap. I would love. I hope during the rest of the week that we get reports of what was WWE thinking backstage. Instead of, if you wanted WWE wanted to have a beer, well, I don't know why they can never agree. They can never agree to terms with Stone Cold Steve Austin. We got screwed out of not having Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania this year in the Cody Rhodes main event, where we literally had all the faces from WWE, all of the biggest stars in WWE history there, right, for Cody's big crowning moment. And then they weren't able to agree on a deal to get Stone Cold there tonight. I don't know why. WWE has an endless supply of money. I don't know why they can never agree on deals with Stone Cold Steve Austin. But I'm sitting there you could have had Stone Cold Steve Austin for this. Instead, you had that dirtbag, Hulk Hogan. It'll be interesting to see because then right after this, they had a Hulk Hogan commercial advertising the Royal Rumble. But it's going to be interesting to see when Hulk Hogan's next actual appearance is. And if WWE Dare wants to put him out in front of a live audience again. Like I said, because if it was bad tonight in LA, it's going to be the same response in any other city. But either way, that's enough of that. Who gives a shit? Fuck Hulk Hogan. Let's move on. And Chris, I'll say this: I don't think Hogan's legacy is fixable at this stage in the game, personally. But like I said, as I said earlier, I couldn't give two shits. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Anyway, moving on into the main event, we had Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. I'm glad this was the main event. This was a great match. Like I said, this was a banger. Punk came out wearing the same jacket he wore in his last AEW appearance at All Out, when he faced Samoa Joe. There's so many jokes being out. WWE superstars should be afraid of Punk choking people backstage. It had to be, Punk was definitely sending some type of shot at AEW, which I love it. Fuck AEW. But this was great. The Punk and Seth hit each other. They went hard at each other. Some of the blows, I was like, damn. These two are really making it seem like they hate each other. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee did a great job of playing up the rivalry, explaining why these two don't like each other. Part of the story was that Seth let his emotions get the best of him multiple times. He was so busy unleashing his anger out on Punk, he was ignoring the referee and literally daring the referee to disqualify him, saying basically that the ref didn't have any guts. And the ref said, Punk, the referee kept saying to Seth, I'm not going to let you keep disrespecting me, which would allow Punk to recover numerous times and flip the tables on Seth. They fought on the announce table. They fought outside the ring. And multiple times, Near the end of the match, Punk and Seth did their finishers on one another. Seth did multiple go to sleeps on Punk, and Punk did a curb stomp on Seth, but they weren't able to win. The match ended. I think Seth went for a pedigree on the announce table, which he hit. Then he hit another pedigree in the ring. Then he went for another finisher, and then Punk was able to reverse it with a go to sleep, to the point where after he had to go to sleep, Seth bounced off the ropes. Punk was exhausted, but Seth, after bouncing off the ropes, landed right on Punk's shoulders in perfect position for another go to sleep to get the win. The crowd erupted. Punk gets the win. And this was very similar to the ending of Punk versus Jon Moxley. I forget which AEW pay-per-view it was, but it was from their match for the AEW title, I think about 2 years ago. Time goes by so fast. Was it? I think it was 2 years ago. So then Punk wins, and then that's how Raw went up the air. And then I already played it for you guys earlier. Punk cut a beautiful promo after the show, talking about how it doesn't matter how old I am, I'm still the best in the world. I'm going to continue to prove it, and how he's coming for all the gold in 2025. And definitely, I think Punk is definitely a favorite to win a world title this year. I think Gunther should watch his back. They did play a Gunther promo earlier in the show, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't have any problems with Gunther. I'm just kind of bored with him. Like, his reign's been okay, but it hasn't been like anything like. I think Cody has been a far better champion. What they done with Gunther, they did the Randy Orton match. All of Gunther's matches have been great, but they did the Randy Orton match. They did the Cody Rhodes match at the what was it called, the Crown Jewel. They've done Sami Zayn, which was a match they did on Raw, and then they did of course, the Damian Priest match, and then they did the Saturday Night Main Event match with Priest and Balor. Outside of that, Gunther hasn't done anything else. Like I said, it hasn't been a bad reign. I'm not saying that, but I'm more like, eh. Like, I think at WrestleMania, I think right now it's not clear yet. Because, like I said, we don't know who's going to win the Royal Rumble. We don't know what's the deal with The Rock. But, like I said, I think right now, the favorite would be, if I had to say right now, I think it's more likely than not that it's going to be CM Punk versus Gunther for the world title at Mania. I could be wrong. They could still go with Punk versus Rollins, or no, Punk versus Roman. But that's my prediction as of right now. You never know. They could deceive us all and do Roman versus Gunther. I don't think that's likely to happen, but you never know. Nothing's clear right now. The only people that have any idea of what they want to do right now is, of course, Triple H and his team. But like I said, I think I could definitely see a scenario where Cena or Punk, one of those guys, is the one to take that title off of Gunther. I don't think Gunther's going to hold that title throughout all the year. I don't even know if Gunther's going to hold that title through Mania. I don't. I think WWE's going to want to get Punk that title here at some point. Same thing with Cena. But we'll see. Chris, you said, I believe Seth is going to cost Punk at the Rumble. Maybe. Because then, you could also put Seth in there. Seth could face Gunther. I don't think it's likely when you have, names like Punk and Cena and even Roman in the equation. But you never know. Like, this rivalry between Seth and Punk might not be over for all we know. Punk's addiction, Punk could easily, or Seth's addiction, Seth could easily come on and just be so pissed at himself that he didn't get the job done. Because Seth was the one that wanted this match with Punk. I thought everything was building towards Seth winning. Seth, in my opinion, needed to win more than Punk did. It was Seth. The story had it where Seth was the one that was addicted with Punk, right? And that he needed to beat him to get this anger and to get this, this addiction out of his heart. Now that the fact that Punk has beaten Drew, who Seth lost his world title to at Mania before Damian Priest cashed in. Punk has aligned himself with Roman Reigns at the War Games, who Seth spent all WrestleMania with his torn MCL working with Cody Rhodes to take down, and now he's lost to Punk, who he vowed to take out of WWE as a babyface. Like I said, I could see maybe this turning Seth delusional into a heel. I don't know yet. We don't know yet, but it's something to keep an eye out for. I could doubt that Seth's just going to be like, oh, you're the better man, and then, but bygones be bygones. I could definitely see Seth, costing Punk, and maybe this turns into, because I originally thought that it would be Punk that was going to be the one to eventually turn heel, not Seth. But you never know. WWE may have completely changed their plans as of right now. I think so. That's why this is why we gotta watch every single week, because you never know. You never ever know what WWE is planning here. Like I said, my last thing tonight, I really thought it was more than likely that Seth was gonna win and Punk was gonna turn heel, or that Seth would win clean. Then I did not expect Punk to win clean there. But I think this was more likely setting up Punk to go on a big run here, and maybe end up becoming world champion here at Mania, right? Punk finally getting the main event WrestleMania, win the Rumble, which has been Punk's biggest career goal that he's never gotten to do. I think there's a pretty good chance that we're getting Punk versus Gunther at Mania as of right now. We can never know. We could get Punk versus Rhodes, which I don't think people would complain about. Those two have been on opposite brands for a reason. So you never know. Like I said, you do not know here, which is why it makes WWE so great to watch. Because now I'm so excited to see what's the next part in the story. And it makes you keep coming back every week. The last thing I also mentioned is we didn't mention this. This happened later after the John Cena promo. Logan Paul is back, and now he's fully on Raw. They gave a video package showing what Logan Paul's done to WWE up to this point. And basically, Paul, he was there in the arena, but basically Paul stated now he's 100% WWE. So I don't know if this means like Paul is 100% like full time, going forward, but we'll see. We'll see. Logan said that his goal is to become a world champion. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. To be honest with you, I have no interest in seeing it happening. But like I said, we'll see. What the plan is for Logan Paul. I know a lot of people want the Logan Paul John Cena match. I'm not interested in it. I don't care to see Cena put Logan Paul over. I don't think it's really that necessary. Like I said, I'm not interested in seeing Cena spend this farewell tour putting people over. But like I said, we'll see. We'll have a long way to go. But I did want to mention that before we get out here. Chris says it would be cool to see CM Punk. Don't worry, CM Punk and Cena are going to interact here. We're getting, as long as of course both of them stay healthy, we're getting a CM Punk, Cena match at some point this year. It could be for the World Championship. We don't know it. Like, but imagine we get Punk versus Cena at SummerSlam or something like that for the world title. Whew, you're giving me ideas, but like I said, it's too early to say. But as long as both stay healthy, I guarantee we're getting a CM Punk Cena match some point this year. Same thing, like we're gonna get a Cena Orton match. Outside of all the new matches we want to see Cena have, like Cena versus Gunther, Cena versus Cody Rhodes, right, versus Carmelo Hayes, Cena versus LA Knight, right. As much as I think we're gonna get those matches. We're also going to get Cena versus Punk, Cena versus Orton. At least one more chapter in Cena's greatest rivalry hits. All right? But, yeah, that's that. But, other than that, that's about all for this week, guys. Like I said, Raw on Netflix, the debut is officially done. A new era has begun, and we got a good show. We got, it wasn't like a banger or the best Monday Night Raw ever, but that was mainly because WWE was focused on really introducing the product to more casual fans and new viewers instead of just catering to us diehards, which I'm totally fine with. as they want to bring viewers and get new viewers invested into the amazing product, which is, of course, WWE. So I think more next week as we go into SmackDown this Friday. The Rock will be showing up at NXT tomorrow night. No idea what his plans are for that, but that will be interesting. And then of course, Raw next week. I don't know where they are next week. I'll check. But then I think now now that the big Netflix debut is done, they'll focus more on getting back to business, building towards the Royal Rumble, building towards Saturday night main event here in San Antonio in a couple weeks, and of course building towards the official start of the road to WrestleMania, which is about 102 days away, about a little over 3 months out. So, like I said, lots to look forward to. A successful debut, and we are now in the Netflix era. I couldn't be more excited to see what WWE has to cook up going forward. But let me know in the comment section what your guys' favorite part of the show was. What are you guys most looking forward to with Raw now in the Netflix area? What do you expect us to see coming next week? Let me know what's next for Punk and Rollins and Gunther and Cena and all these guys. What do you guys think is happening, and how this is all lead to WrestleMania? Love reading your guys' comments. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys today. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here. Leave a like if you guys are new to the channel. Hit the bell next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. I will see you guys later. Thanks for joining me today on the